My name is Lisa Jensen. This is my first time speaking about this, so if I seem nervous, it's because I am, and that's all good. So thank you for coming today. I want to spend time today sharing my experiences throughout my life about interacting with people who have died, both earthbound souls and souls that have already crossed over. And so probably one of the biggest reasons that I want to do this is because if I would have had somebody as a child and as a teenager to talk to about these things, life would have been a bit easier for me. It still would have been hard in other aspects, but it definitely would have been easier. And so I truly feel that we all have the ability to connect with people who have passed. Just some people are more connected to it than others, but I truly believe that all of us can do that. We just need to take the time to connect. And I think too, the other reason I wanted to do this is to begin to create a community that talks more openly about this, which is why I love this place and going to these fairs, because it's necessary, I feel, as part of our human experience. To me, when I connect with the other side, I feel more complete. I feel like there's something bigger going on, that I'm part of something bigger. I feel more connected, more loved, more present. And I feel, unfortunately, that we live in a society that is very individualistic and has many things that distract us from our soul and from what we need to do to be human and experience all the wonderful things that can be experienced. So, right now I'm struggling with trying to talk and not be nervous and just speak from the heart. So that's the purpose of why I'm here. By training, I'm actually a licensed clinical professional counselor. I've done that for 20 years. And a disclaimer, the agency I work for, the private practice I work for, I'm not representing them today. I'm just representing myself as a human being, walking through life, taking this journey, and wanting to share it with all of you. And so I'd like to share it, then take some questions, and then I'd really like for you guys to share any of your experiences. Because like I said, I think the more we talk about this, the more we connect, the more we feel comfortable, we don't feel isolated about it. And I really think it should be something that's part of our everyday life, because they are all around us. Yeah. So, all right. So a lot of times people ask me, when did this start? And I was as a child, I had a very active imagination, all kinds of, who knows what was happening. So it's hard for me to really determine as a child, in my childhood, like what was I experiencing that was beyond and what wasn't. My first initial like holy shit moment is when I was 14 and my grandfather had called my mom and said, hey, Helen, my grandmother, has fallen and I can't get her up. So my mom's like, okay, Lisa, we got to go help. So we drive over there, came in. My uncle and aunt were there. My aunt was performing CPR on her, and then it became evident she was gone. First time I had watched somebody die. One of the most important people in my life. But in that moment, I saw an orb, just a golden yellow orb, and it zoomed around in front of each of us, and then it went out the door. And so I followed it. I mean, I was confused, I was angry. Followed it, went outside, I couldn't see it, so I just kept walking. I grew up on a farm. My grandparents we're on a farm too. So I just walked out behind the barn, and I was mad. Like I was like so mad at God, and just cussing him up one side and down the other. And so, but then all of a sudden I heard plain as day my grandmother simply say, "I'm okay, Lisa. I'm okay," and that brought me tremendous peace because I knew that she was okay. So that was the first significant moment I had in my life. Now, unfortunately, what followed after that was within a 4-month time span, I lost 2 other grandparents after her. And so it was a very difficult time in my family. And I became very significantly depressed. And during that time, I also saw some things that were scary to me. And I just didn't really have anybody to talk to about it. And eventually I ended up becoming very suicidal, being hospitalized, and which was good. I needed to be. You know, it saved my life. And so then coming out of that, however, I shied away from anything that was beyond 3D. So, but I healed, and as I got older, I got better, I got healthier. I was also probably a little bit over-medicated, but whatever. But it saved me, it got me through that time. Went off to college, got to meet, new people with new ideas, and that began to help expand my mind a bit more. Also during that time, I came to terms with my sexual orientation, and once I was more accepting of that part of me, I was able then to accept other parts of me, including this. And so, just checking my notes here. So fast forward a little bit, I started to be more open to everything, so that meant more things started coming. And so probably the next really cool events that I had in my life had to do with a friend. His name was Steven, and he passed away of brain cancer. And I remember when we were at his funeral, and I saw him in my mind's eye standing up there. He was actually a priest, and he just was looking out, into the church, very, you could just tell he was very touched, very loving, and I'm like, oh, well, this is interesting, right? Like, I'll just go with it. We made eye contact, and that's when I'm like, oh, okay, so he sees me. Okay, then. So he wanted me to talk to his brother, and I'm like, I can't because I don't know him. Like, I don't know your brother. I can't just walk up to some stranger and say, hey, by the way, I can see your dead brother, and he wants you to know this. So we talked about it, and I said, look, okay, let's find a middle ground here. So, we were just going through the line of shaking hands or whatever, and I just said, hey, just want you to know, like, your brother, talked about you and your family, and he loved you guys so very much. Just left it at that. And that seemed to meet his needs, my needs, of trying to help him. And then he came to me 2 times after that. So the second time was we were talking to a mutual friend who was in charge of his estate. And while we were talking to them, he came and he said, look, they're trying to find something, and it's this book in a trunk in the back of a storage unit. Now, it doesn't necessarily come that clear, but through conversing in my head with him, that's where we got. So I asked our friend, I'm like, hey, are you looking for something of Stephen's? And she's like, yeah, we are. And I said, okay. I said, he's telling me that it's in the green trunk in the back of the storage unit. Does he have a storage unit? Yes, he does. We haven't started going through it, but we're going to tomorrow. So they did, and that's exactly where they found what they were looking for. Found it. That's what that's where they found it. So that was very validating for me, right? Because there's other experiences that aren't necessarily very validating. You're like, I don't know what the heck I'm supposed to do with this information. This makes no sense. And yeah. And so those were definitely times that were very significant. Of course, I had other things that have happened along the way. But those are just a couple of them. Well, I guess there's one other time that Stephen came to me that I think was important. His niece, who was an adult at the time, we were at a gathering, a party, and he came to me and he said, "You need to talk to her because the boyfriend she is with is abusive." And at the time, I was working at a domestic violence sexual assault agency. And so I'm like, well, I can't just walk up to this young woman and be like, again, I can't just say that. And so, but what I can do is just go talk to her, how's college, how's life? Hey, I'm working at this place and this is what, we talk about there, and trying to work it in that way. And, but I was hesitant and I kept putting it off. And while she and I were crossing paths, I was holding a drink and literally, I'm assuming it was Stephen, knocked it right out of my hand and right down to the ground. And we just had, it's like, okay, yep, I hear you. This is the time. Yes. And so we sat down, we talked, and it was a good talk. And, she did eventually, shortly after that, she was already breaking up towards him, but she just kind of needed that validation of, yeah, these are some significant red flags you're seeing, and it's not going to get any better. So yeah. So those are some really important times in my life that I wanted to share, events. Now fast forward to, let's say over this last year, well, let me back up. As time went on, I would talk about these things, but not necessarily open. I didn't seek out anybody of like-minded, because I still was hesitant. And it really wasn't until I came to this building, because I have an office here, a counseling office here. Well, it's not mine, but the private practice I'm part of. We had decided to move from DeKalb back down to Bureau County. And we were looking for office space, and I don't know, I'm just like, oh, let's check out here. This seems like a cool building. And so we come, just to see if there's office space available. So we're walking through, and of course, Abby's there. I don't know who all knows Abby, but she runs Unwind. And so, Abby being Abby, is like, oh, hi, welcome, And I'm like, I see, yeah, we're connected. This is good. This is where I should be. And so it's worked out, and since then, through working with Abby and Lisa and Tatiana, they have helped me and encouraged me to continue down this road and support me. And, with Abby doing the spiritual healing touch, and Lisa, what was that you did?
Chiradara.
Yeah, Chiradara. Just kind of opened up my mind. A bunch of negative beliefs just kind of fell out. It was like moved everything. And Tatiana with her Akashic readings and soul realignment. And so these things helped move me and these people down this path even further, which is why I feel community is so important, which is why I'm talking about this, to help continue to try to foster a sense of community. When I was talking with Tatiana about just what to do next, because I've always felt I haven't had just souls that have already crossed over come and talk to me. I also have earthbound souls, so they're stuck. And they feel different to me. The ones that have already crossed over, they have just a clear, at peace vibration. The ones that are stuck, it's a very fragmented, not as clear, sometimes frantic, sad, big emotions, vibration. And that's always bothered me, that somebody is stuck. I mean, I suppose as a therapist in dealing with the living, right, I want to help people heal and grow and move to their next level. I feel the same way with people who are earthbound souls. And so Tatiana has helped me develop a protocol to do that. And so I've been doing that since May or June of 2024. And so what that process looks like, well, let me back up. So when those souls, and there's just a lot of activity in this building. And so, how those, I'll just give you an example. The other day, 2 weeks ago, I was leaving work and I just felt somebody run up behind me, right? And like they were trying to get my attention. And I'm like, listen, so Tatiana's been working with me on setting boundaries. Boundaries are important. And it's like, listen, I'm going home. The store is closed. I will be back next week. And you know, and they respect it. And even if they don't, I said it again because I'm in charge. And yeah, so it's always interesting when people like kind of pop in and out. Can be a bit distracting, but I'm better at saying, nope, you need to wait. So how this usually works as far as helping them cross over, I take some time, a few minutes. It's got to be a quiet space. I take a few minutes to breathe, to ground myself, then call in my spirit guides and my higher self. And I go to what I call the empty space. Other people, I think, call it the void. But basically, I walk down a hallway. And this isn't how it started, but this is what it's developed into. Walk down a hallway, open the door, and it's this room, and it's just ginormous, right? And it's, it feels like a warehouse. Like, you can't necessarily see everything, but it definitely has rows and rows of books and information. And in there is one of the spirit guides that has been brought in to help me. So I have 6 total that are always with me, but I've had a couple come and go to help me out with things. The one in there now is Brooke, and he kind of just watches, he just is there. And so usually I come in, say, okay, are there any souls that need help crossing over? I can usually sense that, hear that in my head, see pictures in my head, or just simply know. And then, and I have to do one at a time. And so they come forward and I just ask, you know, hey, are you wanting to cross over? Sometimes they know they're dead, sometimes they do not. So I need to ask them, like, hey, do you know that you have passed? Do you know that you're dead? And some respond yes, some respond no, some respond like, yeah, I kind of figured, because this doesn't seem right. You know, it kind of gives them clarity, like, oh, okay, this is why this has been feeling weird. And the ones that it might be a shock to, I spend a little time just talking with them, if, you know, kind of helping them make that adjustment. I've been working really hard at not being emotionally invested in a way, in the same way that I would maybe in a session with a living person, because if my emotions it clouds my ability to interact, right? And so part of this for me has learning to just go with it. Don't force it. Don't have any connection to the outcome, right? And when I can do that, when I can let go, then then I can do what I need to do. And I do try to get their names, but I don't know, in the end, I don't think it's necessarily important because I can sense them. Some of them do share their stories. I've helped cross, first it started off with a lot of adults. I also have helped children cross over. There was a specific spirit guide that helped me with that. His name is Stanley. I don't know if this is really their names. These are the names that pop into my head and they just go with it. So that's all good. And so yeah, some of them share, I mean, lots of stories. Some don't. Some are like, you know what? No, really, I don't want to. I just want to go on to my next vibrational level. And that's fine. Like in the end, because what was happening is I was seeking validation, right? So it's like, what's their name? When were they born? When did they die? Like, can I go on the internet and figure this out to validate me? I'm like, this is exhausting and it's counterproductive. And in the end, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it is happening. So I'm just going to go with it. Yeah. And I have found, interestingly enough, when I do this regularly, I sleep better. I know that it might seem strange, but it's like I just sleep better. Probably because I'm doing what I should be supposed to be doing, I would imagine. And so yeah, so I have certain things that I say. You know, part of this is I call in third order beings, which are just, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tatiana. They're just souls that have signed up to do this job to help people cross over, you know, from being stuck to their next vibrational level. So I'm kind of like, I just kind of help that process. I'm one person in a much bigger thing that's happening. Yeah. Let's see. Boy, I'm getting through this much faster than I thought. Yeah, so that's how I've been working with souls that are earthbound. Some don't want to. Some are like, nope, no thank you. They're not ready. That's okay. You can come back later if you want. Sometimes they're very funny. Sometimes some of them can be really hostile. That's like, okay, well, whatever, we're done. Come back when you know, aren't such a dick. So, you know, again, just like dealing with the living, you know, like you have to figure out your boundaries, like, which seems to be my lifelong lesson, right? Boundaries. Yeah, and so, and there's also times where I have to, because I try to talk to my spirit guides every day, right? So every day, I try to, you know, I have my little prayers that I say, and then I also set my intentions. And then also when I'm crossing people over, I also set my intentions, right? Of helping people if they want to be helped. I don't know where I was going with that, sorry. That just flew right out of my head.
It'll come back.
Yeah, eventually. Yeah, it's just been an interesting road, right? And the thing is I learned if I had to let go of my attachment to the outcome. Because if you're attached to an outcome, you become so focused on how to get there that you miss everything along the way. And you limit yourself. You know, for example, this is a very simple example, but just an example. If I would have stayed because when I was looking for space to have an office in the Illinois Valley area, right? Of course, there's like rent limit amount, which that you just, yeah, I mean, that's practical. But if I would have just stuck to finding ads on Facebook or a sign saying that, you know, hey, there's space for rent, right, on the outside, I never would have found this place because I would have limited myself to just those places. The only reason I found this place is because I listened to my intuition and said, you know what, I'm just going to go in there. There's no sign out here saying there's space for rent, but I'm just going to go in and see what happens. And sure enough, there were signs inside saying there's space for rent, right? And so I think that's one of the things, big things I'm learning through this whole thing is don't be attached to the outcome because you'll just miss out on so much. Yeah. So let's see, my spirit guide. So I do that, but then I've also been, you know, kind of just seeing where this goes with my spirit guides. Like if I'm not in a space where I can help people cross over, because if I'm not in a grounded, emotionally okay state, I'm not going to help them do this because that's, one, probably not going to work. Two, it's putting me at risk. Three, it's putting them at risk, right? Like, I just need to be in the right emotional state. And so when I'm not, then I'm like, okay, I'm still going to sit down and talk to my spirit guides and just see where they take me and what they want to tell me. And been some interesting stuff for sure. Yeah. There's been, times where I'm interacting with just all kinds of different guides, different people, perhaps things that I'm not sure what they are, in all honesty, but it's all positive, right? Like, and if for some reason, if something ever comes up that's not, no, it's always positive when I'm in the empty space. So, but it allows me to expand my mind, because in all honesty, I was getting pretty bored in life. And so then I'm looking for how to expand myself. Yeah. So that's what I kind of do in my spare time too, with the spirit guides. I do, one thing I've been doing a lot, so I guess what I'm saying is, this is the other piece in all of this. I think we often think, hey, I want to try this, but if we aren't good at it right away, we're like, so I'm done. I'm done, right? And we just miss out on so much. So I've been trying to be very patient with myself, and my friends have all been very helpful with that. And this is a journey, and so take the time to learn. That's part of the fun. That's part of the fun. And because there's no, I'm only not even a year into this in a very focused way, right? And I don't know, it's just been a lot of fun. So I think that's probably a good place for me to end. So yeah, questions, yes.
How do you know if you're connecting with another spirit or if it's just a thought in your head?
Good question. And I still struggle with that sometimes, right? And I think in the end, it just feels different. I asked a friend once how they know, is it our imagination or is it really there, a soul? And she said, it doesn't matter. And she's right. It doesn't. It doesn't. But I understand that doesn't really answer your question in many ways. Yeah. I think for me, it comes down to, am I forcing this, right? If there's this balance of your consciousness, your higher self, your subconscious, right? These things aren't pushed, right? They're not pushed from my head. They actually, when I'm quiet, they're just there. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Yes.
I've had a little bit, but I've had experiences like that where I'm not thinking about a particular person, close person who's passed or relative, friend, whatever. It always shows up when I'm in the shower. I don't know why. But there is a different feeling when you know that they come in.
Mm-hmm.
And it may not be like any dazzling anything,
Mm-hmm.
but they just are kind of there. And I've said to my cousins, oh, your mom showed up. I found out
Yeah.
it's your mom, and she says she loves you. I mean, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And it's just, it's subtle, but it's real, and it's definitely not manufactured. I can tell when it's manufactured.
Yeah.
When something's manufactured, as you said, pushing, or when something just sort of out of the blue, there's this, thing that this person's presence that
Yeah.
you feel.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I don't know why the shower is like a good place for me.
The water energy, maybe.
Yeah. Water, energy, sound. I mean, showering's meditative.
Yeah, you're just kind of chilling out in the shower.
Yeah. Yeah. And so in many ways, this is like we're changing our state of consciousness, right? Or yeah. And so, you know, when you're in the shower, I mean, I think we all can relate to that. It's relaxing, it's soothing, kind of just puts us in a relaxed state.
I mean, why would all of a sudden I have this feeling of my aunt who passed 20 years ago when I'm in the shower, and then she's sort of coming, and it's a peaceful.
Yes.
You know, it's just,
Yes, yeah, there is a peacefulness to it, yes. Yeah, it's quiet, it's not loud, it's not pushy, it's quiet.
I think,
Oh, yes,
Is there a correlation between the dream state of communicating with people who have passed on versus conscious state? I dream of passed on people a lot. I seem to have meaningful conversations with them a lot in a dream, but it seems real at the time. So, I mean, what's happening there?
it seems real because it is real, would be my answer to that. As far as the differences, I'm not sure. I can tell you, I mean, Tatiana, do you have an answer to that?
Yeah, this is not a dream. We all have little skills, natural skills, depending on how long you do here and how you practice that. So it's just different way of acquiring the same thing. You're going to the same space just differently. You know, when people sing that, you sit there and they come to you, you don't. Your body sits there, you go somewhere else, different dimension. And there's little thin veil. Some people just see it. When you sleep, your brain is sleeping. You know, that brain that says, like, oh, let's make a logic. The best way probably to receive the messages for you. You know, you can actually kind of hone it every day. You'll be amazed what you'll get. So it's just different state and different skill, but the same result.
Thank you.
Yes.
so how do you put boundaries while you're asleep, even though, like, you know, at times where you can navigate through your dreams, but when somebody's present and they're very adamant, how do you not go crazy and put boundaries, especially if it's a long period of time?
And this is in a sleep state? Go ahead.
If you set the intention right before that, because spiritual works around intention, okay? Because you have free will. Free will is a key here while you're in the body. So no anything without body can dictate for you. However, if you don't put that rule in, just like Lisa practices, she'll put like 5 to 9, after this don't come, you know, the same thing. So just, you don't have to do like 30 minutes, just 5 seconds. Hey guys, I want to meet this person, no touching, and you'll have a more pleasant conversations with the beings that come with you.
And actually be able to listen to them instead of
Absolutely,
just
yes.
silence?
Because all of you guys in this room, all of us have guidance team. One of the guys is always governs that. If you set the intention, they have to follow your intention. So they'll tell you where you want to be. I've been working with dream state forever, and it's like a magic now. Although it's not magic, but you know, it seems like a magic. Start setting up intention right before you go to sleep. You'll be amazed. Okay? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, this is a little strange, but I'm a coward. And when I was younger, when I was in Wisconsin with this couple, our neighbors, good friends, I was in a room and I heard someone say, Linda. Clear as day, it was like up there. I'm a coward, I ran. Well, I've not had any more experience. Well, since then, 2 of my sisters have died in my apartment. My husband died at my house. Well, I know the oldest one, the first one that died, has tried to get in contact with me. I have felt her. Oh my God, and what do? I run the hell out of the house. I am the biggest, and I know she's not going to hurt me. But when the second sister was dying at my house, my husband and I, my sister were sitting in the studio apartment, and I know it was her, I swear. She came up and put her hand on my shoulder like to tell me she'll take her from me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then my husband died 8 months ago, and I was sound asleep. And I always sleep on the left, he slept on the right. Swear to God, hoping for the sound sleep, somebody grabbed my wrist. But see,
I'm a coward. I can't stick around. And one time, I always go to psychics, big. One time, one said to me, I can't read you. You have the power. And I'm thinking, but I did go back and ask her. I said, I lost money. I hit hundreds. And she told me where they were. I thought they were in a book. And my next I go, well, I just have one question. I lost money. She goes, in a book. She didn't say where, but
Yeah.
yeah, but she said to me, I can't read you. You have the power. And I probably do, but I am such a coward. If I feel anything, I mean, I run out of my house. Like my sisters are going to hurt me.
It makes me wonder if in a past life that you've ever been very ridiculed or scared or had a bad experience with your powers. Or
With my house?
With your gifts. No, like in a past life, a
Oh,
previous
maybe.
life. where you've been
Maybe,
very
but
ridiculed.
I mean, since I was a little girl and that happened, that was just the eeriest thing, and I really think it started then. And then after that, nobody, but then, like I said, I have been with people, and both my sisters died in my house while I was there with them. And same as my husband, but I know it was my husband. I was sound asleep, he grabbed my wrist, and I looked, what I did. I mean, at least I can talk to him.
Yes.
But I mean, my sister, and I just can't believe I'm such a coward. I mean, I go upstairs in the apartment, and the hair on the back of my neck just stands up, and I'm like this, down the steps I go and out the house. And I'm thinking, really? I just have a fear of this. Is there something I can do?
Yeah, I think there's a lot that you probably could do. Yes, yes. So I think, well, first and foremost, I think I would like you to have some more self-compassion because you're beating yourself up quite a bit. And that's not going to help, okay? Secondly, it sounds like the initial interaction you had as a child, because you said you had one as a kid, right? Did you say that or no?
I had what? On a vacation.
Yeah.
When I was like younger.
Yeah.
I don't know if I still, and it goes, let it out. I'm the biggest runner. I just,
And you know, and
I
that's,
say, yeah.
Yeah.
Who is it?
you're right. Well, because you were a child,
Yeah.
and we live in a culture that teaches us to be fearful of those things,
That's
right?
the biggest coward God made.
Well, you're sitting here talking about this, so I disagree. I don't think you're a coward at all.
I know, but it took me 71 years.
That's okay.
Because I feel like people will think I'm nuts.
Well,
But I'm telling you, I know my sister put her
I mean,
arm on my shoulder.
yeah, absolutely.
that day.
Yes.
I could feel it, and I said to my husband, what's it, just put her hand on my shoulder?
So I think that if you could, okay, as a now I am talking as a therapist, okay. If,
I could
yeah.
probably use one.
Yeah. Well, I'm right in this building, so you are more than welcome.
Give me a card.
Okay, I can do that. You know, I would say working with that initial interaction and healing that and helping that little girl part of you not feel scared, you know, and healing that part of you would have a ripple effect, okay? Then you would become more comfortable with these things that are happening.
And I just, that one day, that one psychic said to me, I sat down, and she sat there and she goes, I can't read you, you have the power. I'm like, oh, oh.
So what would be the first steps that she would take then to start her healing process when she was a child?
So, so I'm only laughing at myself. I'm not laughing at you. It's just,
Okay, I laugh at myself.
yeah.
I have to, or I'd be crying every day.
yeah.
of my life.
It's going to be a process, at least from my perspective, right? And I think that part of that would be you talking with that little girl part of you and saying, hey, you know what? We're okay. Yes, that was scary. It's okay that you were scared. It's okay, but I'm here. You know, I'm an adult. Here's the thing. When we have a trauma happen, right, it can get stuck in our brain, in a part of our brain, and I never remember the parts of the brain, but in a certain part of our brain that has no concept of time, right? And so our brain's job is to protect us, right? And so it's always looking for patterns. Patterns, patterns, patterns. And if it picks something up that remotely looks like something that hurt us, our brain goes, uh-oh, this is a problem, right? And my train of thought, good God, Lisa. So it's always looking for patterns, which is why this traumatic event is stuck in your head. It's stuck in a part of your brain that has no concept of time. And so we would have to help, and that's why I want the older you to talk to the younger you and say, hey, it's 2024, I'm an adult, I can protect us, we're okay. We got this. And that it was okay that she was scared. I'm sure it was absolutely terrifying for you as a child. You didn't have any.
I have never forgotten.
Yeah, and there was nobody there to help you or to process
I never
it.
told anybody.
Well, thank you for
I
sharing.
mean, that, oh yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so starting to talk about this openly is another way, is a step, is a step in the direction of healing, right? When we keep things secret, when we keep them bottled up, they grow into something that's much bigger and darker and scarier than what they need to be. But as soon as we let them out and shine the light on them, they shrink. They become much more manageable. And I think that's what you're doing here today, is you're beginning to say, you know what, I don't want to carry this anymore. I want to put this out in the open, and I want to start healing from this situation.
Well, I always feel when I run downstairs, dumbass. You could have talked to her, so she might have had some, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I do, and you got a lot.
I feel so
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah,
But at that point, when the hair goes up your neck, and it's like, oh.
right. Your fight, flight, or freeze kicks in. That's what's happening, and I think it is very much connected to when you were a child, and it's hard to override that. It's hard to override that. So, right now, if you were to imagine yourself, instead of running from it, just to pause, take some deep breaths, and turn towards it in a very compassionate way, in a curious way.
And I always wondered, who wanted to talk to me when I was that little girl? Wow.
Well, it could have been a spirit guide. It could have, I mean, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. We might not ever know.
I won't, because I took off.
Yeah.
I said, see, you wouldn't want to. Yeah.
And so I need you to hear me when I say this, though. That little girl part of you, and I'm sorry, what's your name again?
Linda.
Linda. Linda, I need you to really hear this in your soul. I need you to hear this in your soul, and I need that little girl to hear this. It is okay that you ran. You were doing what you needed to do to protect yourself in that moment. It's okay. You did the right thing. That's what you needed to do.
And now I need to outgrow it. But
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can do that. And I will give you my card. Okay? I'm going to have to go down to...
That's serious.
I'll have to go down to my office and get one because I don't have one on me. But
Brought here some.
oh yes, thank you, yes, thank you, Tatiana. Yes, but yeah, this is a good start. I just can't do this in this amount of time, right here, right now. But you.
I probably need a couch, I know.
But true, I mean, this is a very good start. This was a huge step. This was huge. Like, and I'm very proud of you. Like, this is awesome. This is why I want to talk about these things, right? This is why.
Like, I don't know, I just want to say something just because I generally tend to not get like visions or hear anything, but I definitely feel things. And so I've been to some retreats before with a medium friend, and they practice on connecting with your gifts and practicing on connecting with each other. And I was able to get a message from my grandfather, but I thought it was crazy at first because, like, here I am, it felt like my legs were just running, and I was like, well, what's this mean? I'm not going to say anything because I don't even know what this means, you know? But after some other people were kind of saying some things that they were getting, it totally connected to my grandfather. It was like they talked about his Chuck, They saw his truck, they saw a race checkered flag, and then I was like, well, he used to run up alongside me. I was in track, and so he would always cheer me on and run in there.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's why my legs are running. So, like, you could get other tastes, smells, you know, lots of different other feelings
I get
that aren't
feelings like
necessarily,
that,
like,
you know.
you know,
But
you
I
might
don't
not be able to
see-
connect them right away.
Well,
but-
I don't see anybody because
But yeah, sometimes you might get like a smell or a taste or
Yeah.
something that reminds you of somebody or that person, and it could be that too.
Yeah. All right. Well, I got the red flag, so that means we're speaking of flags. That means we need to wrap up. Thank you so much, guys. This was awesome. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. So, what?
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I appreciate this very much. This was a great experience for me. My first time out, and I thank you very much.